jump back to mid lane. Xiaohu's kill, not done yet. Bang's looking for Uzi. The tower, the laser. Bang gets the kill. Duke might just survive. Megagon popping up. The boomerang. The excitement. MLXG on the back end. There goes Duke. Uzi was zoned away. Mata's down. 3 kills for SKT. SK Telecom advance to the semi-final at Worlds.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Worlds Tonight. I'm Sjokz.
What's up, Sjokz?
Joined here by Isaac, Azael coming Bentley, as well as Sam, Kobe, Hartman, Kensler. I was just trying to give everyone a very warm
what up?
welcome.
We're here.
Right, we are going to talk about SKT versus RNG. Up first, that was the quarterfinal we had here in the Chicago Theater, a 3-1 in the end, but it started off with a false note for SKT, which is what we saw at MSI as well.
I know. I mean, this is the game that kind of got people's hopes up, right? RNG started out so well, especially Looper up in the top lane. Some rare mistakes from Duke, and some questions started to form in people's minds about SKT in the first game. It turns out later they'll be answered pretty quickly, though.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this game also came down to the fact that RNG controlled the dragons so well, and they got such good dragon spawns. Double Mountain, they get the Fire Dragon as well, and they claim the Infernal, and that's really what let them kind of close out the game here later on.
Yeah, definitely, and a good start for RNG, but as said, the problem with this team is having to keep it up, even though that there was hope for them now, they had to keep it going. How much here was connected to their composition? How much did you see different? Because SKT, they decided to swap out their junglers for game 2.
I think a lot of it was just mental errors, and here's one right there. This was just a total boneheaded play from MLXG, and honestly from all of RNG. They gave up these early kills.
Yeah.
They put themselves super behind right off the bat and never gave themselves much of a chance to kind of get back into it.
Yeah, I mean, the champions basically swapped hands from game to game, especially in the bottom lane. They had pretty much the exact same combo, swapping back and forth, but the real difference were those plays where there are some unforced errors from RNG, whereas SKT and even Samsung yesterday, so rare to see mistakes from those teams, and then they can also recover very quickly from them.
Yeah, and honestly, game 1 was a Looper show. The rest of the series was Duke, right? Yep. Duke was crushing. I have to give a lot of credit to Bang here as well. I think this guy, he kind of neutralized Uzi, who was the big carry for RNG, and he played exceptionally well in the team fights.
Exactly. I mean, they don't really play that lane to crush that lane, but once they transition into the team play, not only Bang, but also Wolf was doing a really good job of setting up a lot of the team fights, and they absolutely crushed it.
Yeah, they did. And as for that, RNG, you started seeing them going down the rabbit hole and they never really got it back together. And this is kind of the thing we already saw at MSI. When they get rolling in the wrong direction, they can never stop.
Yeah, I mean, game 4, MLXG had some really good plays, but it just felt like the rest of the team was too far behind. He kicks in Faker, he interrupts his ultimates multiple times in a row, but there's no one there to follow up, and it was just kind of the story of the game.
And remember, that game, they started out with a pretty sizable gold lead in the early game as well. I think Ja was mentioning it, 2,000 gold or something like that. And when SKT plays a team and they get a 2,000 gold lead early, you're just like, oh my goodness, this is probably over. They're going to step-by-step end it out. But when RNG gets it against SKT, very, very unsure of what the outcome's going to be.
Yeah, as every opponent versus SKT, you got to build up a huge lead to close it out. And that's how the bracket plays out for now, because of course tomorrow we will see if it will be the Rocks Tigers or Edward Gaming up versus SK Telecom. What do you think of either of those teams going up against the SKT you saw today?
I mean, honestly, both of them in the group stage look kind of shaky. As far as either of these teams matching up against SKT, I favor SKT not only for the semifinals, but for the whole tournament. I think these guys look incredible.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are already looking at, wondering what Faker's third skin is going to be. And they absolutely just look so clean right now. And like I said, they actually do make some mistakes. And Duke is a good example in game 1. Not only the play up top that we just saw in the highlight, but also some teleports. But they recover so quickly in a best of 5. It just seems so difficult to try and take that team down. Even a team like the Tigers, who have beaten them before, seems like even if they get through, it'll be rough.
I'd also say one of the biggest things about SKT, if one guy makes a mistake, the rest cover for them. They don't all kind of pile in and have a calamity. It's very rare to see SKT fully fall apart.
Yeah, let's quickly touch on tomorrow's matchup then. The Rocks Tigers versus EDG. Quick prediction, we'll be able to talk a bit more about it later.
I do think the Tigers are going to take that game. adding in the top lane substitution, that's very unfortunate for EDG, which, as they said as well, was already kind of the weak spot for EDG. But overall, even though Rocks have had a pretty slow start to the tournament in group stages, I still think they're going to pull it out and take the victory.
Yeah, I like Rocks as well, but I will say, out of the 3 Korean teams, the one that I think has the best chance to be upset is the Rocks Tigers. I think they look the worst in the group stages. They're not that team that was so dominant with Smeb, the best top laner in the world. He's not looked like that at all. I think EDG has a chance, but it's probably going to be Rocks.
Well, we'll see what happens, and we'll take a further look at that matchup as well as our newest semifinalist in just a moment. If you're watching in client, check out youtube.com/LOL Esports for the full version of Worlds Tonight. As for us, though, we're going to delve a bit deeper, maybe first into the quarterfinal matchup we saw today. If there's any standout player, I heard you dropping the name Bang, but how did Faker perform in the end?
I mean, Faker performed really well, I think. I think he always is mechanically on point. I think it's only ever kind of decision-making that sometimes can be a little bit head-scratcher for him, but he played very well.
Yeah, sometimes he does like to play a lane more aggressive than he has the backup to do that. But Faker, very admirable performance today. I don't think there's a lot of holes that we can, shoot in his play today.
No, definitely not. And the interesting thing is here, of course, usually when SKT has had a setback, they have subbed in Bengi, but this time around, they have subbed in Blank. And it's not that game 2 with Zach was all his doing or anything like that, but it must be good for them to know that that is working also on the biggest international stage here.
I also think that it's important to have confidence in one of these guys, right? It doesn't matter which one, but you have to have a lot of confidence in them going forward. I think that, having those wins with Blank can make them feel better moving towards the semifinals and eventually maybe the finals.
Yeah, even just having more and more games on stage with the same jungler. These are some of the issues that they talked about working through before, were issues with Blank and, communication with the rest of the team and how well does the team perform when he's in. They look so much better with him in the lineup now than they have previously. So that's why they look so fearsome and everybody's already pushing them very far up the bracket.
Yeah, I think rightfully so for SKT. So let's talk about that one thing that wasn't as good then in the first 2 games, the Juke versus Looper matchup, and Juke maybe having a little bit of nerves or not finding his groove. But is that something that is bad enough to be exploited or not?
Duke came back pretty hard in the rest of the series. And that's what I talk about, recovering from mistakes for SKT. He absolutely blasted Looper in this matchup, dives him over and over. I mean, maybe that flash could have been saved there. He could have walked out the other side.
Take a moment to appreciate that.
Well, that also involves a little bit of luck there, as there's a variance in the amount of rage that you generate with either of Dar's things. So a little bit of luck, a lot of style, actually.
Gotta be lucky to be good, Kobe.
He definitely looked good doing that.
Yeah, and SKT close it out. So tomorrow we have Rocks going up against EDG. We saw 3 games the first day. We saw 4 games today. So tomorrow, is there a chance we get the full 5 games, or how close is this matchup in actuality?
I really think that this is a possibility, but the tough part is the substitution, right? Like, how comfortable are they with Koro? How good is he right now? They haven't been scrimming with him from all I know. I have been told he is playing a lot of solo queue and stuff, but does it really translate? It's hard to know, right? It could be a bit of a mixed bag.
Definitely could be. I also have questions around Clear Love. I mean, this is a guy we had high expectations of coming into the tournament. He hasn't really performed, but on the other hand, neither has Rock. So this is the matchup for quarterfinals that I actually have. There's a lot of wiggle room here, I still think, because EDG's bottom lane is so strong. And if they are going to win, I feel like it is going to be kind of around the bottom lane.
Would you say that the bottom lane from Rocks is also where we have the least?
A+. Bottom lane for Rocks is also very impressive. That's why it's predicting Rocks to take this, right?
Yeah, we will see what happens in how many games. We want to see 5. From 3 to 4 to 5.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping for an upset. I'm hoping that EDG can do it just because I think it makes it more exciting, right? It makes it a bit more unpredictable. I don't know if they have enough in the tank to do it, but, if Clear Love, if there's ever a time for him to step up, it's definitely now. And we've seen the ability of Def to take over games in the past, so you always got to give him a chance.
Pawn/Scout versus Kuro in the mid lane. Maybe an opening for them.
Yeah, I mean, I really do like Pawn in that matchup. Scout definitely, lends more roaming and, team support and stuff like that. But I don't know. I've just been a Pawn fan for so long. I'm hoping that they're going to use Pawn more.
Well, we'll see what happens. How much are you guys already looking forward to the rest of how the bracket will fill out, knowing what we saw from Samsung, knowing what we saw from SKT?
I definitely am looking forward to see more of these semifinal matchups. Yeah, but especially I'm really looking forward to Sunday as well to see, because maybe there's some room there. Maybe if H2K shows up and plays amazingly like they did in the last stage of group, then that could give you some hope against against Samsung, right?
You know what happens when you have hope against Korean teams, right?
It dies, Kobe.
Honestly, it's just the performances from Samsung and SKT have both been so dominating. Like Samsung has only lost one game at the entire tournament so far, and it's really difficult to predict those upsets. But just because they're so heavily favored, now people find themselves rooting against Korea just to see if they can lose, like if there can be a crack in the armor.
Yeah, we will see what happens. In any case, we have Rock Tigers versus EDG up tomorrow, so that is when we will be back with more Worlds tonight as well. So see you then.
To mid lane, Xiaohu's kill, not done yet. Bang's looking for Uzi, the tower, the laser. Bang gets the kill. Duke might just survive. Mega coming up, the boomerang, the excitement. Survive! Middle XG on the back end, there goes Duke. Uzi was zoned away. Mata's down, 3 kills for SKT. SK Telecom advance to the semi-final at Worlds.